Hello and welcome. I am, of course, the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Johnny B.
And we are Battlefront. Yep, Wayne and Peter.
But together we are
Modeling
for Advantage.
Thank you for indulging in our little game.
Yes,
Right, I'm going to catch up with the chat and then we'll get the guys to introduce themselves. I think the answer to this is, will there be a plastic Vespa or look, they're already in with the questions. We're going to cover this later. And they're answering questions. So Pat Rice, Nick Chiplick is here. DJT8TU, really looking forward to seeing pictures of the mouse. I'm not sure we're going to get to see them tonight, to be honest. Pat Rice, Rich John is here. Panzerman Bran, will there be a Hitler Youth unit? I think we're going to see some of that stuff maybe later. The Head Rats, looking forward to some Flames of War. You are in the right place, my friend. Lazy Parrot Painting says, evening all. Axe and Axe. This is always a bad time for him, catches in the rerun. Alid, looking forward to seeing what I'll be spending my pension with Mrs. K. That's right, guys. If you like what you see tonight, you can pre-order it on the Modeling for Advantage web store if you're in the UK. And elsewhere, obviously, which is your local supplier. Happy sauerkraut, everyone from Germany. I tried sauerkraut once. I wasn't so keen. Have you had it, John?
No.
No. Peter, Wayne, got any sauerkraut?
I think it's an acquired taste.
Right,
Yes,
right.
Pickled cabbage, yeah.
Hitler Youth and Volksturm. Again, I think we'll be covering the infantry towards the end.
All in there.
Ham and Jam, Tony Halton, Chris Tolley, Kevin Livesley, Saffron69, James McMillan. Make sure to ask them when we can expect non-historical late war book that Phil mentioned previously. Well, I don't know whether you can cover that later. We'll come back to some of these questions. There'll be a Q&A at the very end. We've already got some submitted questions. We'll see how far we get. Tony Holt, Salted Battletech Sulfate for Alpha Strike. I want to try that. Michael Wayne, Hans Kloss, and I'm going to have to stop now. We'll be here forever. Lack of Foresight Gaming. Right. Okay.
Welcome.
That's hello to everybody.
Cool. Are we going straight into the introductions then, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Can you let us know who you are? I'm sure most people already know, but that would be wonderful if you could tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Peter. I'm the chairman of Battlefront. That's who I am, and this is Wayne. Yep. He's the writer for Battlefront for our historical books.
Yeah, thanks for
beautiful. And you make beautiful miniatures and wonderful games. That is a fact.
Thank you.
If I look like I'm doing something dodgy under here, I'm putting a overbrush coat on some late war Germans. I wonder why I might be doing that. So the format for tonight's show, then, Peter and Wayne have got a presentation for us, which is going to showcase some of the highlights of the new book. And it's quite interesting. There's some real nuance in there, which I wasn't expecting. I'm quite excited about this one. Then we've got some questions that were submitted before the show. And then if there's time at the end and Peter and Wayne are willing to spill any beans, we can take more general questions. Is that okay with everybody? All right. I'll bring up the presentation then.
So this is the cover of the book. Yep. So Wayne will flick it to the next page because it's a Panther tank with IR. Yes. But anyway, and a Yoo-hoo in the background there.
A clue, there's some IR inside the book. So it's infrared.
Yes. Before we move on the first slide, a question I meant to submit, and I'm sorry I didn't, was about the cover art. So you have a kind of a house style for your cover art. It's not quite the comics I remember from my youth. It's a lot higher quality than that. But it's kind of got an element of that. Is that of that kind of feel? Is that something that you're trying to recreate? How do you go about commissioning art?
Our art is all done for historical, and World War III is all done by Vincent Way. And if we got the book there, we have the book with all our artwork in it, whose name, the name of the book?
Art of War.
Art of War. But it's very much Vincent style, developed between us and Vincent. We want to show combat, obviously, because it's war gaming. So it's not just a picture of a tank in a museum. That's, you've got plenty of pictures of those already. So it's actually combat, but we try to keep it as accurate as we can. But it's also, we're also compressing the art. They're not going to be that close, but that's for the artistic reasons. So it's a mixture of that comic style where people are very close together, but it's by keeping the uniforms, the equipment, and the period very as accurate as we can, and trying to capture the action. Really is always what we try to do, and get some cool angles on the tanks and the men fighting.
Always fire,
Always fire. Yeah, everything's on fire.
Yeah.
You gotta have bullets flying, guns shooting, and things on flame. That's explosions. That's just part of it, and so this is our artwork. Yeah. Okay, so go to the first slide. Okay, these are the history pages. That gives you an idea. Obviously this was Germany at the gory end, and that's what this book's about. It's about trying to have, they tried everything and anything. As a German player, this is my favorite bit of the war, because you can try anything with anything, really. There's not much limit anymore. Everyone's battling at the end here. There's good troops, there's bad troops, there's units thrown together. So it's a very cool period for German players.
All the toys are here, right? This is the gates of Berlin. Everything has been thrown out of the door.
Yeah. So it's Germany during the end of the war. So even though the theme of the book is Berlin and the fighting in that part around kind of Eastern Germany, it also covers the fighting against the Western Allies in 1945 as well over in Western Germany. So the German forces in this book are not necessary just for fighting Soviets. They can be used to fight Americans and British as well. So
okay, let's go to the next slide. And more of the history again.
That's just the kind of the fighting before they actually get to Berlin. So it's the Seelow Heights and the kind of the start of the Berlin offensive by the Soviets there. Yeah, and the kind of the German units that are involved in the fighting in that area. Yeah.
Okay, next slide. Again, more of this.
Yeah, we also cover the actual fighting in Berlin. That's just covering the the fighting and how each particular divisions were covering particular sectors, and there was all sorts of weird little battle groups made up of all sorts of whatever troops they could scrape together. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're seeing here, you've got that real mixture. You've got Luftwaffe field divisions, Volkssturm, Hitler Youth. There's just all kinds of scratch-built forces here, right?
Yeah. There's all sorts of kind of individual battalions that are normally kind of like wash battalions and stuff that are just being thrown into the fighting and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Grim.
Yes, very grim.
And all right, here we go. We're on to the main food now.
Oh, here we go.
So that shows you the formations that are available in the book. There's eight formations, and then there's quite a good variety of support. Of course, like any of the late war German books, you can use a different support diagram with these formations if you want to. Like some of the stuff in the bold is equally valid as supporting units with these formations as well. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. So to clarify, because we're not like elite players, you can choose support options by any means.
Well, no. What you do is you choose a support diagram. So
right.
So if you want to take a formation from this book with your bold forces, you can. If you take the bold force diagram, but you can also add formation from this book to that force, and vice versa. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is obviously available. You guys will put it up because we're not going to go. We're going to go in depth with it into the next few slides. So let's move to the next slide, Wayne, because then we might come back to this one at the end. So
yeah.
There's the Clausewitz boys.
Yeah, so that's your that's the infantry. That's so that they have infrared equipment. I mean, the information about the infrared German infantry is a bit sketchy, but we've got a general idea of what the equipment was. But who used it at what time, it's really more of a guess than anything. But they're a good example because the Clausewitz did do a night attack and had definitely had infrared equipment in their unit.
Right.
But other units like Munchberg had infrared equipment as well.
Right, but this so Kampfgruppe Clausewitz is an historical formation.
Yeah, it's an armored division that was formed right in 1945, and they formed into 2 battle groups, and they launched an attack southwards from basically the Weser River towards in the direction of Brunswick, basically. They ran into, I think it was the Lowland Division, the British Lowland Division, the Scottish one, and they kind of attacked them at night and sort of took advantage of their equipment to do that. But I think in the end, their sort of attack petered out, and then they kind of had to fall back. Yeah.
So these guys are careful troops. They fight well. They're quite an elite unit for that period. They're well motivated.
Well, they're reluctant actually.
Yeah, but they're veterans.
Yeah,
they're
veterans.
Carefuls,
yep.
And they're good troops. They've also got, as you can see on the right there, you got the Stug guys with them and the Panther guys with them.
Yeah, so the other 2 formations are the ones listed there. Ryan's basically made a kind of brief. That's only partially what they look like in the book. That's more like Ryan highlighting what's available. So the Stugs, they don't have infrared equipment, but the Panthers do. Yeah.
So the Panther unit has everything in it, from Panthers to Panzerfoil 70s, Panzer IVs, Tigers, Stugs, Jag Panthers. So lots of choice in here again.
Wow.
Lots and lots of choice.
Yeah, their armoured units were formed from various places, so they had like a real mix of equipment. Yeah.
A grab bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the things that I noticed in flicking through this book, though, is like Peter was talking about the stats. You need to look at these stats carefully because, unlike earlier books, this German army is not that homogenous anymore. The numbers are all over the place between the different groups.
Yes.
So these feel like they're that kind of veteran. It's like, yeah, I've survived a few battles and I'm not stupid anymore.
Yeah,
and they're not they do dangerous things.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But as we look at the other units, we're going to see some quite different stats, I think.
There's your Panzer battle group, and as you can see, the selection there is, these represents one of the Panzer battle groups there. Yeah,
well, basically, it's a lot of the divisions towards the end of the war were getting all sorts of things as replacement vehicles. Their Panzer regiments were kind of so down in numbers that they were kind of operating in as a smaller unit. So they had a mix of things from both battalions, plus they had stuff from the Tank Hunter Battalion, as well as they were getting replacements for whatever was available. So they might get some Stugs as replacements instead of Panzer IVs or things like that. So they're real. So you can have represent a number of divisions with this list, depending on what you pick as your supports. I mean, if you've got information about a division, you can kind of pick and choose and make your unit suit the division you like. Yeah, basically.
So it's, again, a real grab bag. These guys are careful veterans, all these guys as well, but like Wayne said, they're reluctant.
No, these ones aren't reluctant, I think.
They are?
Yep, sorry. Yep, they are.
Yeah, Wayne.
Why me? I wrote this a while ago.
So they're smart. Yeah, they're not stupid.
Yeah,
they're not going to fight to the gory end. They've lost some faith in Mr. Hitler.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's move on to the next one. Tank Training Company. This is these guys.
These guys are a little different. So this
very different numbers.
Yeah, these guys are representing all the schools and things that have been thrown into battle because we need more tank units, but we only have these guys available. So I've used the very similar to rules to what the SS have in the Waffen SS book, is where you've got Old Hand for the HQ, and the HQ has quite good ratings. So he's confident and veteran. I haven't actually got a picture of the HQ there, but he's confident veteran and has old hand. But the units have a lot less rating, so he can use his skill rating to do movement orders if he's in range of them instead of their skill.
Right.
So the troops are actually green troops.
Yeah.
They are confident, but they're green, and they're aggressive to hit on the 3+. The commands are hit on a 4+ and veterans. But they are still confident. In fact, the Stugs are fearless because they still believe.
Well, no, for station, that's because they that's because of the way the stats work. They've got like protected ammo and another thing, so it's easier to just give them fearless rather than have confident and then 3 boxes underneath.
Right. Yeah. So you just kind of consolidate.
I like to see them as fearless.
Yeah,
that's cool. Right? The Stug guys still believe.
They are fearless.
Yeah. They believe
for the purposes of the rules. They
believe in it will come right in the end. That they believe. I don't know how, but it will.
Yeah.
Magic. All right.
Next one, Wayne.
So these are they kick out the. You had the option for Panzer IIIs in there. And they stopped building them 2 years ago. So these are literally training tanks.
They are training tanks. They're probably mostly older models that have had a few upgrades under them. But yeah, so they're only in there because they were tanks available to train the troops with. And I assume once you've learned your way around a Panzer III, it's not too hard to adapt to a Panzer IV.
Or a Stug. But you get braver in the Stug. So there's also a heavy tank training company.
Yeah, that's
with heavy tanks. There's Tiger IIs, Tigers, and Late Panthers, and lots of choice there. Panzer Grenadiers and stuff. Again, the same thing. They're green with the old hand veterans as the old hands, the trainers, the old sergeants, and everything else.
So if you've been wanting to get a lot of big German tanks out on the table, this is your opportunity to do it. But they are going to be rubbish. The cruisers.
Well, the Tiger II, it's green, it's confident, it's aggressive, but it's 2 Tiger IIs at 27 points. So
that's a lot cheaper.
And for Tiger IIs, that ain't bad.
Yeah.
You get 2 Panzer IIIs or 7.5s for 6 points. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. But it's how you're going to use it. It's how you're going to use it with the old hand rule, because they're not going to do movement orders. You're going to have to roll really good dice. So it's going to need some work. Okay, let's go to the next one. Battle groups. These are
So this is so you can represent all those different weird combination of troops that fought in the actual city of Berlin. So
that infantry is reckless. That's terrible.
Hitler, well, they are basically children. So
yes.
They did have a reputation for being kind of only as brave as someone young as can be. So they used to do crazy things, which wasn't always good for them.
See, the Hitler Youth are fearless, green and reckless. So they hit on 2+, but they've got Panzerfaust up the wazoo.
Yep.
So if they get that first shot off, the Ruskies are going to be in a.
But they hit on 4s even when they're stationary in cover. They're just gonna get blasted, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to get blasted. They're local militia rules, and they're going to get blasted. The Volkssturm and the Hitler Youth and the Volksgrenadiers, they're all here. That's where you find all these guys. Yeah. And that's where all your choices are, and there's lots of choices for them.
There's you can take Panzer Grenadiers and SS Panzer Grenadiers as well in the group. Your weapon support options are either Army guys or SS guys. There are some command cards, so you can have some Volkssturm weapons platoons if you want to, using the command cards.
Right. And what does that let you take, like flak and things like that, or?
No, like machine guns and infantry guns and things. So, the one of the bigger Volkssturm battalions, the one based around the Siemens manufacturing plant, the Siemens stat guys, they had their own infantry guns and machine guns, but not every Volkssturm unit had that stuff. So
anyway, these are your troops for everything, and this is where you find the Volkssturms. You got Volkssturms, Hitler Youth fighting alongside Fallschirmjäger and Panzer Grenadiers. So these are all mixed up. You can have units, and this is real. This is really the Berlin the feeling of the Berlin battles where everything's fight. You know, they're fighting. Bolshevik are fighting next to kids, shoulder to shoulder, in the ruins of Berlin, and this is where you can show that and play that.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to just do Volkssturm, you can still just take all three of your main combat units as Volkssturm if you want to, and have a Volkssturm unit, or you can have a mixed one. Yeah, so there's plenty of options there. Yeah, no two armies should look the same.
Because we're bringing Volkssturm are coming into it. It's worth for anyone that doesn't know that because the terms are similar, the Volksgrenadiers that you've seen in the kind of maybe in the Bulge book, the Volkssturm are not the same thing at all. No. The Volksgrenadiers is they've trailed all the kind of a lot of those men are from other services where they no longer need people, like Luftwaffe, Navy, or they're older, or they've got stomach or eye problems. But they're not
inherently people over a certain age, or were restricted from military service for some other reason.
The difference with the Volkssturm is after we've already taken everybody from everywhere we can find, we're then left with this is where the old men on bicycles thing comes from. It's generally people who are outside of military service or probably ill, but it's not under strictly army command either. It's a Goebbels thing. It's a party militia, and the idea was that every block, every burger and burgomaster had to form a brigade or a battalion or right down to a platoon for a city block. They thought that they were going to raise a couple of million men this way. It was completely nonsense, but that was the idea. So if you've seen that kind of black and white footage of like old guys being trained how to use Panzerfaust, elderly gentlemen, this is what they are. As the Volksgrenadiers is a very different quality of unit.
Well, Volksgrenadiers are fundamentally just the Grenadiers renamed, and then the units are rebuilt using whatever
with different equipment. And lower rifle strength.
That's part of the real 1944 reorganizations with assault rifles and things like that.
Yeah,
I think this is something that I like to raise now, is that our books have a lot of this information in them. And I think we all focus on these lists and stuff, and they are really important. I'm not suggesting else, but one of the reasons you get these books is, and I learn a lot too, because Wayne and the guys do a lot of research as they write these stuff. And when I read the drafts, I learn a lot. I don't know, that's surprising. And my historical knowledge is okay, I suppose, but you still learn a lot. So there's a lot in these books, not just the lists. And I just want to remind people of that. That's all.
There's some good history in there too.
They are a good read.
Yeah, and each of the battle groups has its own fluff pages, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next slide, Wayne. Night fighting.
We've got some night fighting. We kind of expand the night fighting rules. Just allows you to play games like games fully at night, or have dawn or dusk, or play and randomly work out whether it's dawn or dusk, that sort of thing. Plus, earlier on, there's all the rules for infrared equipment and the U-Hoos and the spotlights and all that sort of thing. So, so it's got all the rules you need for night fighting in this book as well. So,
and for people who've played Team Yankee, will the night fighting rules be familiar?
Familiar, yeah. Because the infrared equipment's not quite as good as what they had in the kind of later period. There's a few more rules, because you can they have the U-Hoo spotlights, which work by kind of illuminating an area, and if you've got infrared equipment, you can see that area, sort of thing. But yeah, it's got the same thing. You roll your on your night table, and if you've got infrared, you can roll 2 dice and pick the better dice, that sort of thing. Yeah. So a lot of those rules are very similar. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This is technology with valves and things like that. It is quite amazing that when they were getting bombed and everything, they were developing this technology. It is quite incredible, really. It's they continue to develop right to the gory end.
So this night fighting equipment, I mean, one of the problems I remember reading about with the German night fighting equipment was that it relied on having these massive red lamps for it to work, and the problem was that the other guys could see the massive red lamps. Is that a factor?
I'm not sure. Infrared normally is like you have to have the equipment to see that spectrum of light.
But they couldn't produce the infrared without also producing the red light, is what I'm saying, because it's very early. So there's a lot of infrared light, but there's also a lot of just red light.
Red, the only advantage they had, you couldn't get too close. Red light you can't see from very far away. That's why they use it inside tanks and ships and that sort of stuff, because it doesn't ruin night vision.
Right.
But you can't see it that far away. You can't read a book to red light, for example. So, yeah, there was it's bleeding edge technology, and of course, you know, then when something blew up and there's fire and everything's illuminated, I don't know how useful it was.
But once people are shooting, you can see the flash of the muzzles and things.
I can only imagine. This was a last desperate effort, but a fun game. The night fighting stuff's fun if you got that and you're trying to fight the other people are blundering around a bit harder in the dark, and you got yoo-hoos and stuff. That makes for an interesting game. That's for sure.
You can literally get the surprise.
I blunder around in daytime fighting, so I mean, no different really.
Yes. Okay, let's flick to the next one.
We've got a couple of extra missions in there. One's a kind of a street fighting mission. Of course, you can, as well as this mission, you can use all the street fighting missions from the mid-war books as well if you want, which I think they're now downloads up on the website. You can download that whole section from the mid-war Eastern Front books about night fighting, including the missions. So that's up on the website. But this is another mission that adds to that sort of thing with the feel. So it's only on a 4x4 because you're going to be covering the table with a reasonable amount of buildings and things like that, so you don't want to be traveling too far.
Well, it's the vertical element as well.
Yeah. Once you're in the buildings, things slow down a little bit more. So
there's also sorry.
I was going to say, as a cheeky plug, presumably the building rules are designed to work alongside your nice plastic framed modular ruined buildings.
Yep.
Go figure.
Yeah.
On the left there, you got the Battle for Berlin Ace campaign card pack. I think. Oh, sorry, I'm going to hold my other hand.
Yeah.
So I think you've done one of these really before. Cool. No one really talks about it much, but I think they produce really good games, and I think they're not for tournaments or anything. They're for friendly play, but I think they're a lot of fun.
Yep, and we've got a kind of condensed link campaign there on that page as well, which I've also made a PDF of that link campaign with all the missions in it, so you can download the whole link campaign as a download from the website when the book comes out. And then play that link campaign with all the missions in one place rather than having to flip between books to get the different missions. Yeah.
So sell this Aces campaign to me. How does it work? You get a deck of cards. Great. How does it work?
Basically, it's a bit like a link campaign. You basically start with one mission, and then you play that game, and it'll recommend one or two missions to play for that game. And then at the end of the game, you then, depending on the result, you go to another card which tells you what mission to play, depending on the result of the game. And then also you get things like rewards. Your commander is an ace, so he gets ace card. You pick a track, he gets a level 1 ace card that gives him some extra abilities. So these work kind of like the warrior cards in the command card pack, but it's like you're building your own warrior as you go along, and he gets a kind of a level 1 ability, then a level 2, and then a level 3 ability, and it gets something slightly better, and they're usually related to each other depending on what track you pick.
Right.
Yep. Each pack normally comes with like 2 tank ace and 2 infantry ace options, and you can use the other ace options from the other packs as well in this. So if you're playing the Berlin one, and you also got the Minsk one or the Bold one, you can use the ace abilities for that and pick a track for one of the other packs instead of the one from this. Then there's also like side missions. If you've got a bit more time, you want to play some extra games, these other missions you can play between the main campaign missions, and they'll give you rewards, and they give you extra little cards they work. Once again, they're kind of usually cards you use once and discard. It'll give you like an ability or a reroll or something like that during your campaign games. So it's got reward cards, aces cards, and mission cards, and then it's got cards just explaining the story as it goes along. depending on which choices and how you win your battles and that sort of thing. Yeah.
The important thing to me, it creates a narrative campaign. It creates a story. Your guys are fighting, they're learning stuff, they're getting abilities. It creates a narrative for your games. So your games are not just isolated; they're linked together through a narrative, right? Yeah.
But if you get hammered in game one, you haven't lost the campaign, which is
No,
the problem with a lot of campaign rules.
There's no like in a standard campaign you might have casualties and you lose units and that sort of thing. With this, you just the next game you just go into with whatever army you're playing with in the next game. So the only things you're getting added to is maybe your ace. Your commander might be getting slightly better because he's got some extra abilities here.
Hopefully, he's learning from losing.
Yes.
All right, sounds interesting. We might have to have a look at that, John.
It does sound pretty cool.
No, it's very cool, and it doesn't get a lot of press out there. It's like the history of these books. It doesn't get a lot of press because everyone's looking at the army lists, and that is the most important thing. I know. No argument.
Play.
Online is very tournament play, like John says. Online is very tournament play focused. We're not good enough for tournaments. That's all.
Yeah, well, there is a bit of me too. So yeah,
but we love pushing tanks around and rolling dice.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a start. Like in every book, it's the start of what you would have in an army.
And of course, like all the example armies, they're actually based off this.
Heavily based.
Yes. Normally,
it's reversed on the camera.
Sometimes, depending on the cost of them, they'll have an extra unit thrown in, but I don't think this one has it at the moment. I think that's just the contents of the box, I think. There's like a couple of command cards there added to it as well.
Yeah, no, that's basically the box is, 3 Panthers, 3 Panzer IV, 3 Hetzers, 3 Panzer IIs, 2 Tiger IIs, 3 Wesps, Panzer Grenadier training platoon, and then you got the rule book, the start here booklet, and the decal sheets and unit cards. I think these are, as you guys know, these are great starting places. And you want to collect the German army. These are for getting people into the hobby, and I think they're great deals, and they're good deals. Yeah, I think that answers the other question too. Are there plastic Wesps? Obviously,
yep.
Yes.
Right at the beginning there, yeah.
Check.
It's there.
Tick.
No, I haven't got Wesps. I haven't got it. Yeah.
And we will be recording a detailed Battlefront. Have kindly sent us a box to review in a couple of weeks. That will be going out with our long waffly reviews for those that like loads of history thrown in with it. We're actually planning on recording that tomorrow night, aren't we, John?
I would like to do that. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's the plan. But you'll see it in a few weeks' time.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Let's keep moving. That's what we just talked about. That's the army deal, dice sets, decals, command card packs, unit card pack, which is it's like a brick. this thing, because it's everything in here. This unit card pack is literally like you could hurt someone with this. So yeah, there it goes, thump.
Because the book has units with different ratings and stuff. We've got a lot more new cards in the back than you would normally.
There's several entries for each thing.
Yeah, Bulge had a few repeated cards from D-Day and things, and so, but this are mostly new cards. So yeah,
the tins and everything else are there. They're great. Decal sheets, everything else is in there. The command card pack is good. It's got some really weird stuff in there, like the 88s on the railway stuff, and which will be on the special order catalogue. So all that sort of stuff's in the command card pack.
People were asking about trains.
Yeah, specifically about that carriage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the command card pack.
You make a resin and metal one, do you? That's direct order.
Yes, it's direct order and it's coming out again with this book in direct.
Yeah,
and direct only.
So I think there's an 88, a single 88 one, a 88 one and a 105 one.
I think they're all in one kit.
I think they're all one kit. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can
next.
my army just be a complete train?
No. Don't be silly now.
Good.
So there you go, John.
So
This is not Russian Civil War.
These are flak wagons, so they're not actually. Most of the time, they were just parked up on some railway line somewhere and used to support what was going on in the area. A lot of the time, they were involved in battles because they just happened to be in the area, rather than they were towed to there to take part in the battle. So
See,
because
they just happened to be there. Cool.
We're coming
cool,
to
cool.
we're coming to the close-up pictures now, Martin. You're right. So show us
Hang
some
on,
armor. I want to go to
let's
sleep.
move- No,
happy.
he's right. Let's move on.
Here we go.
Oh, look at this.
So this is Tiger 2s, Yag Tigers, Panthers, Yag Panthers, Horneses, Hummels, and Panzer 4s.
yeah, so
All plastic. Everything's
plastic.
plastic.
but most people have seen these before because they've all come out earlier.
Yep.
So, yep. Move on to I have the Stugs and the Panzer 470s.
Yeah, the Hetzers and Marters.
Marters. That's the Marder 3 M. Then there's obviously Panzer 3s because some of the training tanks can Panzer 3s, and the Panzer 2s for the training tank guys as well. And then the real new thing is at the bottom there with the box does Marder 2s and Wisps, so you can build either of those from the box.
How far back does the Marder 2 go? Is that available in mid-war as well?
Yes, yeah, yep. I think I can't remember if it came out in 42 or 43. Yeah, they were.
I know there are mid-war Marders. I just don't know which ones.
Yeah, well, Marder's there's always several available because there was the early Marder 3, and then then there's two other Marder 3s, and then there's a Marder 2, and they all kind of did the same job and were issued. Whatever was available was issued to whoever. Yeah, so you can pick whatever one you want to run, really.
So bottom two boxes both have Marders there.
Yeah. So there's a Marder 3 on the left and the Marder 2 on the right. So the Marder 3 comes in the same kit as the Hetzer, and the Marder 2 comes in the same kit as the Wisp. So it's great. We've got a plastic Wisp now. So I'll be definitely painting some of those.
And the West, that's with the 10.5 centimeter gun, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the
that's
lighter of the
10.5 centimeter howitzer. Yeah.
And then we got the anti-aircraft, the Wirbelwind, Oswinds, and then you got the extra kit. I think this came out with bulge, isn't it? All this extra stuff that 251s.
Yep. The thing worth mentioning is now you can now field the Pack 40 on the Puma hull, and
the Packwagen.
Yeah, and you should be able to field the Pack 40 on the 251 half track hull as well.
So that's the middle on the left there, and the Pack 40s you can see on the right there at the bottom. There.
So these are both kits that have come out earlier, but you couldn't field those two items earlier. So now you can.
Right.
So those again, another couple of pages, 6 pages now, all plastic. Go to the next page.
Yeah, we're into the infantry now.
So that's all the infantry, Fallschirmjäger at the top, Fallschirmjäger. They're all the Fallschirmjäger.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning there's actually a Fallschirmjäger force in this book that lets you field kind of the less well-trained Fallschirmjäger that they were when you're starting to get into the larger numbers for the divisions. So like the 9th division who fought in Berlin and around and before Berlin, basically representing them. So these guys are aggressive and trained rather than veterans, but they still reasonably fearless sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
But they've got that camouflage Scott with the kind of splinter camouflage, haven't they?
Yeah,
I don't know whether I fancy it. I don't want to fancy painting that in 15 mil, to be honest.
Get a toothbrush and just flick the colours on.
So the next page has some. Now we get to some of the stuff that's.
So the stuff you need for the Berlin camp group. So there's the Panzer Grenadiers and the Grenadiers and the SS guys, and then there's the Volkssturm and the Hitlerjugend units there as well.
These come in these blisters here. Volksgrenadier and Hitlerjugend. I don't know. You can't see them.
I can make you bigger so we can see, because we probably want to have a look at those, Peter.
Yeah. Now, as you can see from the edge, they're both metal. So they're metal figures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that was a common question. Is that going to be Siocast metal? What's the? but they're going to be metal.
They're the original metal figures. These are based on our plastic bases as well, our rubble bases. I think they suit Berlin battles really cool, these rubble bases. So
yeah, I think
there's a bit of a push for those here.
I think they're back in stock, or
They are in
available.
stock. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the next page. Again, basically all plastic again. These are stuff you all guys have already seen. There's nothing new here, is there, Wayne?
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
No.
they're all the same as people have seen before.
Yeah, and go to the next page. And I think this is all the same again.
Similar stuff, yeah. Like the Panzerwerfers came out with Bagration. There's a thing on the next page is what we were looking at. So we've got the Waffen Trager, which is a 88 on the back on a self-propelled carriage, and there's also the little bedbug Panzer onesie thing, which is basically a reused demolition carrier that's got a rack of Panzerfaust on it. It's kind of an ambush vehicle. Roll it down the street, fire it off, then back it around the corner again to reload. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
And these are generally resin kits, maybe with some metal or cast parts. Is that right?
Yeah, I think both of those are metal and resin. The
Yes,
Waffen Trager and the Bedbug.
Yep, they're both resin and metal. The aircraft are a mixture, of course.
The other thing is the 38T El Clarence vehicle, which is basically a 38T with a armored car turret as a kind of instead of an armored car, you have field those.
And then some very brave pilots at the bottom there.
Yeah. Hans Koss says is the Yoo-hoo also metal? I think you'd said it was, wasn't it?
I think it's resin and metal. It's a resin.
No, I think it's still on a plastic half track, but with a
resin
and metal insert. I think yes. Yeah. So the resin insert with a metal light. I'm not sure. I haven't actually looked at the kit for a while, so yeah, it could be just all metal. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Hang on, sorry.
No, I was going to say that's the main presentation. We had some questions submitted earlier, which I propose we'll go through now, and then if there's still time and you're willing, we'll pick up in the chat anything that you're happy to go through there. Does that sound all right, Peter?
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So I'll put you on the big screen. There you go, because people, it's you they're here to see. So, questions. Then returning metal infantry range. So we have covered this. Was that these new ones that you just talked about, the Volksturm and the Hitler Youth, they're in metal. And you also recently did the VDV for Team Yankee, also came out in metal. And I was a little bit surprised to see that, because I thought you were moving over to Cyocast and had some new material. So are you willing to talk a little bit about where you are with that and what the kind of the next 6 to 12 months looks like?
We are definitely moving to Cyocast. We weren't. We've had this bit of a blimp now where we've gone back to metal because we think it's been better than the feeling is it was better than the soft Cyocast. The new hard Cyocast, which took a long time to get by ship from Spain to Malaysia, is there now, and the stuff is out in the marketplace and it's well received. We've played with it here. It's really cool. So Cyocast is still the answer, but it's a new hard Cyocast. We're not using the soft Cyocast for any more production at all. So it's all a new hard Cyocast. Getting everything across and getting everything redone is taking time, of course. So yeah, Cyocast is where our future is, not the hard Cyocast where the future is, not the soft or the metal.
Thank you for that. We've been following the Cyocasting across various companies are using it, and it's a lot of people have had kind of blips, so it's not it looks like things are getting a lot better in that area.
Yeah, I think the new stuff. It's the old fisherman saying, "Don't sell fish you wouldn't eat yourself," and this is the same thing. I like the new hard stuff. I think it's very cool. I think all the guys here like it. It's the way of the future. Yeah, I think and it gives a good product. I think it's a better product. lead is nice when the molds are nice and new and crisp. It's a great product, but it's the CO cast with the future is. Yes.
So that was the kind of follow-up question: is what is it about metal that means you're not comfortable carrying it forwards to the same extent? Is it moldware?
There's a problem with it, even exporting it into Europe and all sorts of places. So there's some sort of customs issues with it, age issues, safety issues. I think they're made up issues, but they are issues that we have to deal with. And also I think the mold usage and everything else, that it takes a lot more quality control. The CO cast machines are computer controlled. It's a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier to get better sculpts out of there, to get better products out of there than the metal spinning machines. Yeah. It's a new technology, and like everyone else, we think it's a lot better.
All right. Can we expect to see more models in plastic? But specifically what we're talking about here, I know plastic tank kits, there's a million requests for different types. But so aircraft, you've done some work in sort of looking at third-party kits and so forth. And also, for me personally, your hard plastic infantry is beautiful. What's the barrier to seeing more of that?
The barrier has been cost. It's a very different technique than making a tank.
Right.
And so the barrier, those infantry sprues have been hugely expensive. We are looking at other technology now to make the same ABS hard plastic, but more digitally based. And I think you're going to see more plastic infantry coming out shortly. But again,
shortly, what does that mean, Peter? Shortly,
well,
I'm getting busy here.
When we sculpt something to you see a pack come out is a year minimum.
Right.
And that's so shortly is not shortly. We call it shortly, but it's not really shortly, no. But we are working on it. We got some samples we just received some samples of the first ones. And we're happy with them, because we've got to be very careful too. We don't want to have screw ups. So it's a lot of work involved in, flying it backwards and forwards, getting there, checking it, doing the 3D undercuts, all that sort of stuff. We got good. Alice is a great sculptor, and Evan is a great checker, and we got people all good people. Chris, Evan. Alish, all these guys involved in the process. They talk directly to the mold makers, but it just takes time. Yeah, it's a lot of backwards and forwards. One little undercut, and suddenly the mold maker, we just do this, and it looks awful. So this is that toing and froing. It's let's throw some, get some plastic figures, throw them in a mold. I'd love it to be like that. Listen, I'm a businessman. I'd like to, have it sooner than later, but it is. If you don't give it a year, you'll end up with a subpar product. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear you say that, sir. You're not going to compromise quality for quantity and just getting it out there. So that's awesome.
No, if we don't make good kits, no one wants them. That's what it is. And we've got to do our kits good. And I think, like I said, if we like them here, and we're pretty harsh on ourselves here, and if we like them here, then I think everyone else is going to like them. Are they perfect? We struggle with that, but our plastic kits are pretty good now. I think we're up there with anyone else in the world, and we make good kits, and they're good, robust kits for wargaming as well. That balance is there,
that's a really big deal. Is you make good wargaming kits. You don't make 100-piece Tiger 2. You make a 20-piece Tiger 2 that looks good.
Yes, and when you push it around and push it in amongst some trees on the table, bits aren't going to fall off. That's really important. But hard plastic is where our future is. And we're looking for hard plastic for everything, for infantry, vehicles, tanks, everything. And the show you just saw, the first 8 pages, I think, or 10 pages, were all plastic. Our plastic range is very good now. And we're going to be uncompromised, and we want to keep making it. I don't like to see a box with not all plastic written on it.
Yeah.
We want to see all plastic on everything, and it's that hard plastic.
Well, in our infantry ranges, luckily we have those hard plastic ranges that do the core of each nation, the four main nations. So, and the Russians are even better because they have their artillery crew in hard plastic as well. So it'd be great to do that with the other three nations, as well as doing things like machine guns and mortars and stuff. So the core of your army, if you're doing an infantry army, is all plastic. Would be great. Yeah.
That is the idea. Now, a Waffentrag is never going to be in plastic because it's just.
And it's a cool one-off model that you're going to have maybe three of. So I mean, I don't think people mind much. It's a weird multi-material kit. Yeah.
I think one of the great things this year has been the Kursk and the Stalingrad box set, and particularly the Stalingrad one, which has had lots of infantry in it. I think we want plastic infantry for all those things. Anyway, let's go on with the questions.
Yeah, next question. Can we get the range available as individual sprues? I think you do some sprues on direct order. Is that, or can you buy all direct order?
Yes, no, we're going to get the sprues all out there. They may not be straight away. As I said before, KL was closed for a long time during COVID, and it's taken a long time to catch up. Like everywhere else in the world, staff have been hard to get as well. So, but yes, our intention is to bring individual sprues back for everything. Right.
Okay. So hero and warrior command card type sculpts. You've had quite an extensive range of these in the past of named commanders and so forth. Are they likely to come back?
Special order, I don't see a problem with it.
I mean, to be fair, some of the ones that have been added to command card packs recently are new guys that we have not had figures made before. So it'll depend if Pete decides we want figures for these or not, really. But a lot of them, you can just use whatever figure that you think is most suitable. A lot of them, it's more about we've got some cool information on them, but we don't have a lot of pictures of them.
And
it's got to be something that's recognizable as well. That like that big anti-aircraft thing on the railway track, that's easily recognizable. That should go in the special order. People want that. Some figure with a scar down his face and 15 mil is not really. It doesn't really work. And,
the ubiquitous Nazi dueling scar.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
I think if you've got a knife, you can put that in yourself. I don't think we need to sell you that. No.
Okay. But I think some of them were like mini dioramas, though. I think, weren't they? They'd be like a jeep and a couple of figures and so forth. So
we're getting a plan together to bring all that stuff back. We are working on it, but it's been low down on the list of getting stuff back up and running. And the KL factory, and ahead of that list is things like NAM and Fate of a Nation and Great War. We're going to start bringing those out this year. So they've been out of stock for a while. We just mid war's all back fully in stock again now. You can order it all the bits and pieces. So the plan is to bring all that stuff back. If you want it, we want to sell it to you.
Yep. The short answer is if you used to make it, it will be coming back. Would that be probably the answer?
Yes, that's a short answer in the long term. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Cool. Will the Panzersturm and Winter Volksgrenadiers be available?
Yes, they're coming out they're on the release schedule.
I think sometime in May, I think.
Looking here. The Winter guys are all coming out on May 27th.
Right. Okay.
So they released the Panzer Grenadiers, Winter, Stern Platoon, HMGs, mortars, Panzerstürm, anti-tank groups, and artillery groups, all in Winter.
So those figures they can be used for Panzer Grenadiers, whatever you want, basically.
But they're in overcoats and scarves and things, right?
Some are in overcoats, some are in reversible camouflage, the padded winter ones, so you can either paint them as splinter or in white. And some are in great coats.
White for me.
Like scarves and stuff.
Yeah. All right. So here's the bigger question then. So, is this the end of the late war journey? What's Battlefront's next big project?
it's not the end of the late war journey. We've still got some plans to go moving forward. We still haven't done Italy. We're going to bring out some kind of small release for that. And we've also got some plans for the future for late war. But I really don't want to talk about those today.
No.
But we have big plans coming. So I think you're going to see those come out soon. But we want to get through. We're not here to talk about that today.
Yep. Cool. When you said, okay, I was going to ask about Italy, but I won't. We're not talking about
Yeah,
Italy.
what's going to ask it? Go on.
I was going to say, when you say late war Italy, do you mean 43 or do you mean into 44 with this kind of puppet state that they were running in Italy?
We'll see.
It's Germans in Italy rather than Italians in Italy.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Late war starts at 44 for us. Yeah.
Magic. Okay, so beyond the release, here's the questions you'll get asked every time, I'm sure. Where are we with early war? People are always going to ask that. When am I going to get my Matilda?
Yes, early war is an interesting one. We had two choices. We could just re-release everything we got, or we could do it properly. We decided to do it properly, and that's going to take time. There's a pile of plastic kits. I want to do plastic infantry as well for early war. I want to do it like, and do starter sets like Kursk and Stalingrad and stuff. And I want to do early war. I just don't want it for the few gamers who want to play the games again. I understand they want to play the games again, but I want to bring early war alive. Mm-hmm. And to do that, we've got to invest heavily in it. And we're willing to do that. We're keen to do that. We want to do that. But it's going to take time. So early war is coming, but it's going to be bigger and better than it's ever been before. And I'm sorry, but there's no shortcut to this. To do this right, it's just going to take time, and we're investing a lot of money and effort and time into it. And I want to see plastic, Matildas and Vickers and Sharbies and that sort of stuff. Yes, and plastic infantry running around. And then suddenly I think early war, it's one of my favorite periods, the battles and the Blitzkrieg battles in France. They're very cool. I've had a French army forever. I think they're very cool. They're 47s, they're little H-35s running around and stuff, and the Samillas. What a beautiful tank. But, we just dragging those out of your cupboards again and doing the same old thing is not the answer. The answer is to do it. For us is to do it properly. In this age, in the modern age of wargaming, you've got to do this with starter sets. You've got to do it with army deals. You've got to have plastic.
So treating it just like we do mid-war and late war, really.
Yeah, correct. And do it properly. It's not a sideline.
Yeah. So plastic motorcycle battalions, you heard it here, right?
Yes, and that's where you got to be. You got to be. Yeah, I think that's a very small sprue, and I think that'd be exciting. And that's
no one does that. I can promise you that.
Sorry.
No one does plastic motorcycles. That's a fact.
Yeah,
well, no, there's a lot of plastic stuff we do, but that's not the point. We're not. We want if we like it and think it's cool, we should do it, and that's where we're. I think early war is very exciting. It's a huge opportunity for us. I don't think we did it justice last time. I think we did all right. I don't think we really did it justice, and I think we need to do it. We did the lists really well, but we didn't do the miniatures well, and I think that's what we got to do right this time.
Okay, great. So related question is the Pacific War.
Yes, mid-war Pacific is measured for this year or next year?
Next year sometime. But I know I've got to start working on it this year.
Yeah. Wayne's got to start working on it soon. So mid-war is going to be an add-on for the Pacific for mid-war. I don't know what we're going to do with late war with the Marines and stuff. So we haven't thought about that yet. And of course,
it's interesting because late war would be a lot of the same miniatures, except a few extra bits added on, and then some slightly different lists, really. So it'd be interesting.
So by mid-war, we're talking Guadalcanal, Kokoda Trail, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yes, Guadalcanal, early stuff in Philippines, and some of the early island stuff, like you got Tara comes under mid-war.
Yeah, and will it include Burma?
Yes, we plan to do
British.
British or 14th Army stuff, or Indian British Army, because mostly Indians fighting rather than British.
Right.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to hear this answer. Okay, this sounds great. I'm very excited. All right. So Checkpoint Charlie, the next one. Is that in the near future for Team Yankee?
It is. Just let me. I'll get the. I think I've got some idea when it's coming out. Sorry.
Yeah. So there's something I'm working on. Yeah.
Yep.
So the process has started.
Yep.
The process has begun. Right. Cool.
Yes. Checkpoint Charlie will be here. I haven't got a date for it. Sorry, I haven't got.
No. That's
date handy with me, but Checkpoint Charlie is definitely coming. Yes.
Yeah, great. And there's a lot of people really kind of enthusiastic about those sort of late 40s, early 50s tanks. They've got their pet favorites they've seen in the museum and stuff. So that'll be great to see. I got here asking about some of the different terrain stuff. I don't know whether is that the Gale Force 9 terrain, probably.
Yeah, but it's the Battlefield in the box stuff of 15 mil, I think, is what you're interested in there. Although it's under the Gale Force 9 heading, it's a Battlefield in the box. You're going to see we got some new products coming out, which you'll see when they come out. But we're also, I think those sets that we do, those kind of not compilations, but bundles. That's the word I'm looking for.
Hey, there we go.
We're going to do more and more of those. If we bring out products, we'll bring out bundles of Battlefield in the box as well to go with it, which is a good way to buy it and a good way for stockists and shops to stock it. So you're going to see more and more of that sort of stuff happening.
Right, and that's for people that haven't seen it. That's all pre-painted, ready to go, isn't it? That's open the box.
The box is all pre-painted. Our general philosophy is that your army is yours. It's your individual thing. It's you put it together, you paint it, you build it how you want to. But everything else we kind of try to supply tabletop ready. So because we're all short of time, we're all time is the enemy. So the idea is that you personalize your army and everything else we kind of supply ready for you.
Love it.
Great. Last of the pre-submitted viewer questions then. I'm dreading your answer to this. So version 5 just says V5 with a question mark. I haven't got my head around V4 yet. So what's the thinking?
I think we got no plans for V5. I think it will be like between 2 and 3, where it's when we do it, and I got no idea. I think you're looking at lessons from the front being folded in, and that's about it. There'll be no changes to army books or anything else. I can assure people of that.
Yeah, and we won't be changing points again, so it'll be.
No, it is all your books, all your points, everything else will stay the same. I think there'll be some clarifications in there. If you look at lessons from the front, I think you're looking at V5 basically, or I call it V4.5. But call it what you want. And I don't think we're going to do that, but I don't think it's.
But you might reprint the manual with some errata in it and small rules.
Oh no, we'll reprint the rule book obviously, and we'd also put something on the website so you can change your old rules. But people always end up with a small A5 booklet, so just putting them in the army deals and everything else, people will end up with them, and we can include them in orders and with shops. We do, we've done that before. We've given it away for free, and we'll probably do that again. But again, please, nothing's planned. No work has gone to this. Phil and Wayne have done zero. We've talked about it around this table here, but that's it. Yeah. Right. So Phil and Wayne aren't going to beat on your door tomorrow and say, look, if we move to D10s, everything will be better.
No, D8s.
Oh, there you go.
No,
not having it.
Not happening. Yes.
They can squeeze 2 more categories of ratings in there.
not happening. Yes. No, this is again, one of our philosophies is, or I suppose, is the rules should not get in the way of the miniatures. The rules should help you play the game and make the game fun, but it should not get in the way of the miniatures. We're not complicating things any more than we need to. And I think that's, we do a very less is more view of the world. Do we need that rule? Do we really need that? Do players need that? And unfortunately, a lot of the time they are that. Otherwise, we wouldn't need rules at all. But that's our general philosophy: is that we're all miniature gamers, and we want to play miniature games.
All right. There's one from me. Have you given any consideration for those of us that don't have so much space to considering creating a 4x4 table mission pack? Because the missions, the 6 core missions are very much designed on having a rectangular table. I don't know. I might be in quite an unusual position playing on a square table. But because of the way that the zones are deployed and so forth, it doesn't quite work when you try and translate it.
I think it's the answer to your question is we've spent zero time thinking about that, but I think it's a good idea.
I mean, even if it was just like a pamphlet or something, or
download, we're not going to print it, but it'd be a download. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Wayne, add it to your work list.
Okay.
Just with Wayne saying there was a 4x4 one for City Map, and I was like,
pretty easy because well, the interesting thing is one of the things Phil changed when he did version 4 was that he simplified a lot of the deployment. So he talked about from the edge, but back in version 3, because he was worried about people using different size tables, he would always have everything measured from the center. So So basically,
which was painful,
but it also made that you could play on any size table. But so we just need to do something like that to get to the 4x4 table kind of.
No, I think it's a good idea, guys. I really do. I think it's not something we've ever considered, but it's a good idea.
Yeah. Something that a viewer brought up early in one of our questions was about packaging the games, the things that you do, a little bit more squarely at young new people. And I think what he was getting at was about maybe including things like a play mat and maybe some bits of scenery, and really kind of aiming it at like the kid who's never done this before, or the young person who's getting into it.
Yeah, our starter sets are good value. I think everyone recognizes that. And the more stuff you add in there, the less plastic you put in there. So it's been we have thought about this. It's been a conscious decision and saying we tried to support our retailers as well. A good retailer should have a couple of tables in his place, and that's where you start, and that's where you do. You got to hopefully you've got something to go with. I think there is some players who would help with a mat and stuff in there. I agree, but it's been a conscious decision to include as much plastic as we can, and let's make it as good value plastic-wise, miniature-wise as we can. So,
all right. Let's get rid of that. That's all of the previously submitted questions, and we are a little bit over. I'm conscious your time is precious. How do you feel about taking a handful of questions from the chat? Yeah, you good? Okay, so I'll work backwards. Any news on NAM? Is it still planned? And the return of Great War Minis?
NAM month is
in the schedule?
Yes, it's in the schedule. NAM month is NAM month is June. Straight at the end of this, you're going to have a NAM, and that's going to be declared soon. And the information is there will be NAM month and stuff will be coming out for it. Lots of cool choices, and we're introducing some new concepts in the way and how we sell this. We've got a partner program, which is cool. So June. June is the answer.
June is the answer. That's pretty soon. Late war dynamic points and dynamic points, I suppose we haven't talked about. That's a big change for the mid-war dynamic. Is it going well? Do people like it?
Yeah, I think it's been. We don't get. It's no news is good news a bit in the Battlefront world. If things are wrong, we hear about it pretty smartly. When things are good, and I'm the same. I never, if I have got nothing to complain about, I shut up. So this is a bit the same. So it's what I would play, and it's what we play here. And mid-war dynamic points, I think, are good. They work. We won't be doing late war dynamic points or any other changes this year. We want to let it go through this year with the mid-war points. And at the end of the year, we're going to make some decisions.
Yeah, at the end, it's an experiment, really. So we need to see how it goes. There was a few people who afterwards, after we updated them, said, "Oh, I should have done more of this or more of that." But then there's an opportunity to do that again at the end, towards the end of the year when we review it again. So it's not like they're set in concrete forever. It's more kind of a way of just trying out some balancing issues and see if we can resolve some of the perceived problems.
It's been an interesting sort of getting the feedback. Wayne correlated the feedback, and so 20 people wanted more, 19 people wanted it was too much. And I think we've hit the mark pretty well. I do think we've hit the mark pretty well. Everyone has their opinion. I think I think there's some more changes to be done for the mid-war points, but we are happy with them right now.
Yeah. There's a few units that people said, "Oh, why didn't you change any of these?" Because it wasn't on our original list of changes. So there are things we're considering. We just didn't consider them for this round. So,
one of the ones was infantry. We just want to stay clear of infantry at the first go of this.
It was the kind of the Hordy Soviet infantry that hit on the save on 4+ Soviet infantry. People thought they were maybe a bit too expensive. So,
and they're probably right, but we want to stay in the first year, stay away from the infantry. Don't
you change too many things at once? You can't track which things work.
Exactly. Yeah, you
better to under-deliver than screw it up.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's where our heads are up with it.
So what exactly will Checkpoint Charlie be? I guess it means different things to different people. 50s, 60s, 70s?
70s.
Yeah, it's
70s.
Mid-60s to mid-70s. So it's the same period as Arab, Israeli, and NAM, basically. So it'll be the same point system as well. So you'll be able to use Arab, Israeli, and NAM stuff with your Checkpoint Charlie stuff.
As other armies.
So it'll be one glorious period.
And will there be like a Ipcris file miniature as part of that release?
What, sorry?
I'm not sure.
Ipcris files? You don't know the Ipcris files?
Oh, yeah.
Michael Caine.
Oh, Michael Caine.
Yes. I know it.
Or the new one. He's good too. Looking forward to Plastic Cinch. I think that's one a lot of people are excited about.
Yeah, what a cool. I got some sprues here yesterday. In fact, they arrived. Our sample sprues here. Eighth, because we marked the sprues with a number to show you which iteration they are, so we otherwise would get confused. And it's the 8th one. I think it's pretty close to final with the final tool. And I think it's just what a great tank. It's just
Does it come with a broken engine?
No, I think only positive. Yes,
runs out of fuel halfway through the game.
Yeah, all right, okay. So, are there wild cards or late war monsters for Berlin?
They're. I said in my Christmas video, the mouse is coming and other stuff's coming. I don't want to talk about it any more than that yet.
But it's not.
We want to declare it properly, not drip feed it out. But I think it's. Obviously, whatever we do will have a mouse in it. That's you can't have anything less iconic in this late war monster thing. But we've got lots of plans coming up for that. We've got some really cool ideas and different ways to play games and stuff that I think, existing ways to play, but new ways of playing games and stuff. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We've done a lot of work on it here. It's rethinking. It's really a re-engineering of the game as such for the future. Yeah.
Okay. There was a bit of comment about the kind of the early war, and I think the kind of view is we would rather wait, and it was done well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a decision we made. We want to do it right.
So someone said about direct only stuff. For example, D-Day British models were only available for a limited period of time. Was that just a supply issue that you've been?
I think that's a supply issue. They should be available. I'll check on those. Chris is back next week. I'll check on those with him, let him to Lord. But that's just a supply issue. We have no plans to make them time limited.
And the same with like the mid-war Africa Corps Italians. It was same problem.
Yeah,
presumably.
they were out of stock for a while. We got mid-war sold much better than we expected. You know, because the factory's in Malaysia, it takes 2 months to ship, a month to make, and then get to the store, get out there. So it's taken a while. But I think most of the mid-war, I think the mid-war Italians all are back in stock, as I understand now. I may be wrong. I'm not going to stake my reputation on it.
Better than me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's Chris would know, but he's away on holiday this week. So
he's in Fiji sunning himself on a beach.
yeah, he's.
Oh, nice. Nice. Fiji's relatively close to you guys, I guess. It's a heck of a way from here. So a couple positive comments about the Ace campaign. We might have a look at that. Maybe we'll have a look at doing one on the channel.
Yeah, Battlefield Hobbies. What a great shop. I just coupled back there. The guys doing at Battlefield Hobbies. I met those guys before.
Yeah.
What great things, and great guys.
They have-
and I think they got a brilliant place. Yeah.
They have like a Flames and War Team Yankee Day, I think, that once a month or something, a meetup that Alan's been involved in running. All right, well, the other questions are from ages and ages ago. I think I should let you guys get on with the real job. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before? Anything I've forgotten to ask? Or?
Well, I can't think of this. Where's my question list? They kind of tried to prick me yesterday. Earlier we talked about Checkpoint Charlie. Version 5, it's not happening, but we've talked about that. More plastic. The plastic thing is always, I want this in plastic, I want that in plastic. We've got to make choices. That's all. Early war, I'm really excited about, and yeah, I love that period, and we want to do it. So
right.
Good.
Do you know what? I haven't mentioned World of Tanks, and just because we got an email today about it. So you're moving, the platoon packs are coming out now,
Yes.
or like in the very near future. They were sent some photos and stuff by the salespeople. So presumably in the kind of the next few months, you're just going to release a series of platoon packs. Is there plans for beyond Wave 11 in terms of introducing more vehicles?
Yes, and it's part of that plan I'm talking about. That I'm not going to talk about.
Yeah, right. yeah. Okay, no problem.
If I can be a bit cryptic there, yes, there definitely is. We are committed to World of Tanks. There's a lot more coming, a lot more exciting stuff coming, but we'd give away what we're doing. So yes, World of Tanks it was a slow start for us.
Right.
But now it's taken off. It's selling reasonably well in Barnes and Nobles and places like that, and other retailers and stuff. So it's getting out there in the general public.
Yeah.
The new packaging's really cool. It's really, I think, in places like Barnes and Nobles, it'll make a big difference. The new look and feel that World of Tanks have is very cool. So I think
yeah, because I hadn't seen you release pictures. I'd only seen them from sales. I didn't know this new red and black stuff.
Yes.
Orange and black.
Yeah.
Right.
It just pops. It's just great. Yeah.
But you can still see the tanks through the clear though, right? Because I think when you're selling to kids,
I think one of the big mistakes, and I got a box here, it's out of camera on my shelf here, and one of the things we've learned is that, using a black, although it's clear, using a black background to a grey tank is not really doing the job, or a dark green tank. So the background, we want to sell it to kids and stuff. We want to sell it to people in places like mass market, like Barnes and Nobles and places like that. And to me, that it needs to pop more. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think this new look and feel. We've learned from that. Yes.
I have a group of half a dozen boys play tanks every week at my school War Games Club.
Well,
They love it.
Yeah. It's a great little game. It's a very fun game. It's very exciting. It's over quick, so you can have another go. It's got it's World of Tanks on the tabletop, and I think we've achieved what we set out to do, which is World of Tanks on the tabletop, and and something to collect and something to play with. I think we've achieved that. Yeah, we're committed to it. So that's all I can say.
Cool.
All right, guys, it was great having you on. I really appreciate it. I know we didn't get everybody's question, but I think Pete said all the things he's going to say. We're just going to move into the questions of, I don't really want to talk about that right now. So we really appreciate having you on. I got absolutely zero paint on my Panthers because I was too busy paying attention. What about you, John? Did you get any hobbying done?
I did, but no relevance. Well, it's sort of relevant. I've got Space Nam, so it's sort of half relevant,
Oh,
right?
right.
With the
Okay.
Nam month coming up soon. That helps.
That's cool.
That was awesome, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
We love you guys. I watch you guys all the time. You're a really important part of the hobby for us. We want to support you guys because you're very important. The good thing is you guys are independent. We say something's good. That's of course we're going to say it's good. We're not going to say that's not good. But you guys are there, and you guys are really important to us.
Yeah, we try to be honest on your product.
You put your time and effort into it. I love the guy he's down in Tasmania, isn't he?
Harry.
Fog of War?
Yeah. Fog of War.
Yeah.
And it's very different to what you guys do and different to what other guys do. And I think this is all, without you guys, we would be, it wouldn't be as good for us. So we really appreciate your guys' efforts and thank you very much. And yeah, listen, let's keep it going.
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely. It's been. I'm sure people have learned a lot. It comes out on the 15th of April. Is release date? Is that right?
Okay, but yeah,
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah, it's quite a big thing.
You can definitely pre-order it from me.
15th of April.
The
The book, the box, the command cards, and the unit cards. 29th of April is the Panzer II, the West, Wolfentrager, Volkstream, and AA. So, and then moves forward from there.
So, if you're absolutely desperate to get some Panzer IIs, you're going to have to pre-order this box or wait 2 weeks. Is that right?
Or a week later they come out. Yeah. I never thought, when we started the plastic story, that we would do Panzer IIs in plastic. If somebody had told me that, here they are, living
They're the best.
And
I don't
Two
know.
boxes of it.
It might even be a Panzer I. I don't know. That's maybe
right.
Too far. But yeah, I never thought we would have. So never say never, never.
Oh, final question, I promise. Battlefront Open Day.
I want to do it. I
year?
definitely want to do it, Michael. But it's been a difficult few years. Yes, we talk about it. We just haven't done it yet. I don't think it'll be this year. I think, but I definitely want to do it. Is the answer.
Well, definitely send us some press passes when they come. I want a badge that says press. I'll pay for my ticket. I just want a badge that says press.
No, you're very welcome. I look forward to seeing you. I'm up in the UK in the office there. I think it's July. We'll organise ourselves and we'll get together. I think that's it's exciting times.
The real Pete Siminovich. All right, guys, it's been a real pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to be doing quite a bit of coverage on this over, not for a couple of weeks. You won't start seeing it, but we're going to have a Battle of Berlin week, Flames of War. We're going to be looking at the Clash of Steel starter box, playing some games with a guy who's never played Flames before. We're going to use one of the battle groups out of the new book, fight some Soviets. I've just got about 40 tanks to pick in the next couple of weeks. And then record the videos. But I'm going to do it because although James got a lot of Soviets, they're all mid-war. He hasn't got all these pretty new, big Soviet tanks, which you've got to use, right? All right, guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much. Take care.